All right, let's be real for a second. When was the last time you truly felt alive? Not just comfortable, not just entertained, but fully engaged in life, pushing your limits, growing, and actually excited about what's next? Most people don't ask themselves that question. They're too busy drifting, waking up, going to work, scrolling, eating, watching Netflix, sleeping, and repeating the cycle the next day. It feels normal. It feels safe. But is it? Here's a tough pill to swallow. Comfort is not the same as freedom. In fact, comfort can be the most dangerous prison of all. Unlike the iron bars of the past, today's prison is invisible. You don't see the walls, but they're there, built from convenience, distractions, and the illusion of security. Think about it. You can have food delivered without leaving the couch. You can scroll for hours and feel like you're doing something. You can binge watch your favorite shows and escape reality whenever you want. It's effortless, and that's exactly the problem. The more comfortable life gets, the less we question it, the less we challenge ourselves, the less we take risks. Before we know it, we've spent years in the same place. Not because we're truly happy, but because it's easier than facing the unknown. So ask yourself, am I choosing this life, or am I just avoiding the discomfort of change? Because if you're not making that choice deliberately, then someone or something else is making it for you. And that's what we need to talk about next. Imagine a wild animal born to roam free, suddenly placed in a spacious cage. At first, it resists. It misses the thrill of the hunt, the wind against its face, the unpredictability of survival. But over time, something changes. Food is always there. No predators to fight off, no struggle. Slowly it adapts. The cage stops feeling like a prison. It starts feeling like home. Now here's the scary part. This is exactly what's happening to us. We don't live in cages with steel bars. Instead, we're trapped in routines that make life predictable. We wake up, go to work, come home, unwind with screens, and do it all over again the next day. It feels normal. It feels safe. But is it? The problem isn't that comfort exists. The problem is what it takes from us when we let it take over. Growth comes from struggle. Not suffering, but the kind of effort that forces us to adapt, to learn, to evolve. When everything is easy, nothing pushes us forward. How often do people stay in jobs they hate because it's easier than starting over? How many dreams get buried because chasing them requires discomfort? How many relationships survive on autopilot, not because they're fulfilling, but because breaking free feels too uncertain? The real prison isn't hardship. It's the absence of challenge. And just like that wild animal, we start avoiding anything that disrupts our comfort. Even when the cage door is wide open, we don't leave. That's why recognizing this trap is the first step. But breaking free, that's something else entirely. Let's talk about that next. All right, let's break this down. Comfort isn't free. It comes at a cost, one most people never think about. Every time you choose comfort over challenge, you're making a trade. You're trading growth for stagnation, resilience for fragility, and long-term fulfillment for short-term ease. The worst part? You don't feel the damage right away. It creeps in slowly like a slow leak in a sinking ship. Think about how comfort rewires your brain. Your mind is built for efficiency. If you don't push it, it adapts to doing less. You stop questioning, you stop seeking, you stop striving. You tell yourself, I'll start that business one day. I'll get in shape when life settles down. I'll take that risk when I'm ready. But you never feel ready, because comfort has numbed the part of you that craves more. Ever heard of the boiling frog analogy? Drop a frog into boiling water and it jumps out immediately. But put it in lukewarm water and slowly raise the temperature. It won't notice the danger until it's too late. That's what comfort does. It gradually strips away your hunger for something more until you wake up one day and wonder, where did the time go? Comfort keeps you alive, but it doesn't make you feel alive. If you never struggle, you never build strength. If you never take risks, you never grow. If you never push beyond what's easy, you never find out who you could have been. So what's stopping you from breaking free? Fear. And that's exactly what we need to talk about next. If comfort is the cage, fear is the lock. It keeps you inside, whispering all the reasons why stepping out isn't worth it. Think about it. How many times have you wanted to make a change, but fear held you back? You stayed in a job that drained you because finding a new one seemed risky. You avoided a tough conversation because it felt uncomfortable. You put off chasing your dream because failing sounded worse than never trying. Fear isn't the problem. It's how we respond to it. Your brain is wired to avoid risk. It's an old survival mechanism. Back in the day, taking the wrong risk, wandering too far, eating the wrong thing, could mean death. But today, most risks aren't life-threatening. Yet, our minds treat them the same way. What if people judge me? What if I fail? What if I lose what I have? Here's the real question. What if you don't? What if staying comfortable costs you the life you actually want? What if years from now you look back and realize you let fear make every decision for you? That's the real nightmare. Look at anyone who's done something meaningful. They weren't fearless. They just didn't let fear stop them. They took the job that scared them. They risked rejection. They stepped into the unknown. And that's why they grew. Good news, fear is a sign you're moving in the right direction. Growth only happens outside your comfort zone. So are you going to let fear keep you stuck? Or are you going to push through? Because the moment you do, everything changes. Let's talk about what that looks like next. Fear isn't just something that holds you back. It quietly pushes you into a life of mediocrity. It convinces you that playing it safe is smart, that avoiding risk is responsible, that staying in your comfort zone is the best way to protect yourself. But let's be honest. Has playing it safe ever made anyone truly happy? Look around. How many people do you know who hate their jobs but stay because it pays the bills? How many stay in relationships that no longer fulfill them because it's easier than being alone? How many talk about their dreams but never take the first step because they don't want to struggle? This is how comfort kills potential. Discomfort is where all growth happens. But most people avoid it at all costs. They'd rather be unhappy than uncertain. That's why so many dreams die before they even start. Not because people aren't capable, but because stepping into discomfort feels too risky. But here's the truth. Staying comfortable is the biggest risk of all. Jobs that seem secure can disappear overnight. Relationships that feel stable can fall apart. The routines you rely on can suddenly shift. Comfort gives you the illusion of control, but in reality, it makes you fragile. If you never challenge yourself, you never get stronger. If you never take risks, you never grow. And if you keep waiting for the right time to start living fully, you'll wake up one day and realize it never came. So what's worth more? The illusion of security or the possibility of a life filled with meaning? That's the decision you have to make. And to understand just how deep this trap goes, we need to talk about why society keeps us comfortable in the first place. Ever wonder why everything around you is designed to make life easier? Food arrives at your doorstep without you lifting a finger. Social media gives you an endless supply of dopamine without real human connection. Streaming platforms keep you entertained for hours without ever challenging your mind. It's all effortless. And that's exactly the problem. Modern society doesn't want you to struggle. Not because it cares about your well-being, but because a comfortable, distracted person is easier to control. Think about it. A person who's just satisfied enough never questions the system. They wake up, go to work, pay their bills, consume entertainment, and repeat. They don't push back. They don't ask if there's more to life. They don't challenge the narrative. That's why traditional education teaches obedience, not creativity. It rewards those who follow the rules, memorize facts, and don't question authority. From a young age, we're conditioned to seek security over passion, to work for a paycheck instead of building something of our own. Why? Because it keeps the system running. A predictable employee doesn't challenge their boss. A satisfied consumer keeps spending money. A distracted citizen doesn't push for change. And the scariest part? Most people never notice it happening. They assume they're making their own choices when in reality they've been programmed to choose comfort over freedom. But here's the good news. You can break free. It starts with recognizing the trap, then actively pushing against it. The world needs more creators, thinkers, and risk-takers, not just another person blindly following the script. So, how do you escape? It starts with one small, uncomfortable step. Let's talk about that next. Alright, so you see the problem now. Comfort isn't just keeping you safe, it's keeping you stuck. But how do you actually break out? Most people think change happens in one big, dramatic leap. It doesn't. You don't wake up one day and suddenly become fearless, motivated, and unstoppable. You start small. Think of it like working out. If you've never lifted weights before, you don't start by bench pressing 300 pounds. You start with what you can handle. You build strength little by little, and eventually, what once seemed impossible becomes second nature. Escaping the comfort trap works the same way. You don't need to burn your life down overnight. You just need to introduce small, intentional discomforts into your daily routine. Here's how. Do something hard every day. Take a cold shower. Wake up earlier. Push yourself physically. Train your mind to embrace discomfort instead of running from it. Take one risk. Apply for that job. Start that side hustle. Say yes to something that scares you. Action beats overthinking every time. Stop mindless consumption. Instead of scrolling social media for hours, spend time creating. Write, build, start something new. Consumption keeps you passive. Creation puts you in control. Redefine failure. If you see failure as the enemy, you'll never take risks. But if you see it as proof of growth, you'll start chasing challenges instead of avoiding them. Here's the key: consistency. The more you step outside your comfort zone, the less scary it feels. Eventually, discomfort becomes normal, and that's when real change happens. You don't have to have it all figured out today, you just have to start. And once you do, that's when life actually gets exciting. Let's talk about what that looks like next. All right, so you've started stepping outside your comfort zone. You're challenging yourself in small ways. You're taking risks. Now what? This is where things get interesting, because the moment you start choosing growth over comfort, your entire mindset shifts. You stop seeing challenges as problems and start seeing them as opportunities. Instead of avoiding discomfort, you seek it out, knowing that every struggle makes you stronger. Fear doesn't disappear, but it loses its grip on you. Most people spend their lives waiting for the right time, the right motivation, the right circumstances. But once you realize that growth only happens through action, you stop waiting. You start doing. And that's when life changes. Think about the people you admire, whether they're entrepreneurs, athletes, artists, or leaders. None of them got where they are by choosing what was easy. They stepped into discomfort again and again until it became second nature. That's the difference between those who live with purpose and those who just exist. The question is, which one will you be? Comfort will always be an option, but so is growth, meaning, and a life that actually excites you. And at the end of the day, that choice is yours. Most people wait their entire lives. They wait for the right time to chase their dreams. They wait until they're ready to make a change. They wait for motivation to strike before taking action. And guess what? That moment never comes. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. Because the hard truth is, you don't have as much time as you think. The years slip by. The longer you wait, the harder it gets to break free from the comfort trap. So stop waiting. Start now. You don't need some perfect master plan. You just need to take the first step. Start waking up earlier. Have the hard conversation you've been avoiding. Stop numbing yourself with distractions. Do one thing today that your future self will thank you for. Will it be uncomfortable? Yes. Will you have doubts? Absolutely. But that's the price of freedom. And once you push through that first barrier, you realize something powerful. You were never actually stuck. You just hadn't moved yet. So don't waste another day watching from the sidelines. It's time to step up and actually live.